So let's just get right into the Q&A. First one, how do I measure progress during fight camps and gauge if I've had a good week or if I'm just working harder but not getting better? Well, firstly, make sure that you're practicing deliberately. For example, so let's say the first portion of your fight camp is you're going to be working on skills. Now let's say this is for someone under 5 fights, all right? The first portion of your fight camp would be building up skills, sparring, doing all the heavy stuff. Heavy stuff meaning like, you know, pounding and the slightly riskier things. So you're going to be sparring hard, you're going to be learning skills, deliberate practice. Now, you choose like, you know, 2-3 major skills that you want to improve on for your next fight, but ideally there should be your weakest link. If you've got like a weak link, like something that let's say if the opponent catches your leg and you don't know what to do with it, that's a big weak link. So there's no way around that in a fight. So you would plug those things, cover the major weak defenses, for example. So as long as you can get through the fight, depending what stage you're at, you choose what they are. So first few weeks, you do that. You work on those skills, deliberate practice, which is, you know, focusing on them, breaking them down, do what you got to do to make them better, and then you're sparring and you're integrating that stuff, those skills also, and of course practicing everything in general. Then the second half, let's say the last 25% would be just focusing more on conditioning and focusing more on what you just worked on, those new skills that you're trying to polish up, refining them and making them second nature, making them automatic. So just repetition, nothing too complicated. Now you just hone in and make those new skills as automatic and second nature as possible, while you know, increasing the intensity. And the closer you get to the fight, you decrease the volume but always keep the intensity up. So how can you gauge if you're doing well? How do you know that you're making progress? When you do deliberate practice, you're gonna know if you're getting better at. If you break it down and you're focusing specifically on a few little things, you'll know if you're getting better, because then you're able to do them. Fitness and conditioning, that's pretty clear if you're getting better or not. So if you're doing the same thing and it's becoming easier, you're obviously getting better. I think you're asking this because maybe if you're training, things are random. You rock up, you do this today, you do that tomorrow, you're doing sparring, different partners, things are just random. You don't know if you're getting better. But if you deliberately have something you're working on and you keep visiting that thing, whether it's a skill, whether it's sparring the same person, whether it's anything like that, then you know you're getting better. So the answer is be deliberate with your training. Know what you're doing and measure, know what getting better looks like, and then and then you'll know if you're progressing or not. Next question, what happens when the fight is done and what do you do with your downtime before you start prepping? Well, everyone's personality is different, so when you finish the fight, you can either take a week off, enjoy, like give yourself some time to miss the sport, especially if you're doing this long term and you're grinding in and out. That's what I personally used to like to do, just completely switch off, don't think about it, take off, go on a holiday, do the fun stuff that you want to do, and then come back fresh. Other people, they just Monday afternoon, they're the first person at the gym, ready to keep going, to keep the momentum going. So it just depends on your personality. It doesn't really matter. There's no wrong way of doing this at all. But if you had to choose, I mean, getting back to the gym straight away would be awesome, as long as you don't burn out. So it's up to you to gauge that for yourself. And but obviously, I mean, this is the obvious stuff. You don't want to go party, drink, and have too much fun. destroy your diet, all that stuff. Without having to say the obvious, which is stay as healthy as possible. Don't lose your your conditioning, your health. But taking a break is healthy. I think so. I always took a break straight after, because then I'll come back fresh. But yeah, no real wrong answer there. Tips for shorter fighters against taller opponents. The one thing you want to know is, or focus on, is get close before you strike. So if you're shorter and they're taller and they have more range, you have to be close enough to be able to hit them. To be close enough, you have to know you have to get good at cutting off the ring, countering. So when they hit, you hit back. Maintaining, so when you're getting close, when you're getting in close, stay close. A lot of people, they'll get in close, bam, then the opponent will move back, and then or they'll throw something and they'll jump back out of range, and then they have to work twice as hard. They have to work just as hard to get back in, and constantly doing that. That's not efficient. That's not going to work. So the main thing is getting close, staying close, so you can land your shots. So get good at cutting off the ring, countering. So when they hit, you hit back, and then make some distance, gain some distance, and don't give that up. Don't when they can try to keep making distance, moving back, you stay on them. So you have to get good at that. Also, a really good one is get close first before you hit. A lot of people will get a little bit frustrated and hasty, and most people do, and then they're throwing as they're moving in. What I find, getting close and then a little bit more, and only when you're really close, so you have a buffer, so even if they move back, you're still going to land. Focus on range first. Once you're close, which is cutting in, or maybe you do a little slip and you burst in, and then once you're close, you stay there. So that's the biggest skill in to fight a taller opponent, is focusing on range and getting good at getting close and staying close. And then the rest, you use your normal fighting skills, which it's going to even up. It's actually going to be more in your advantage if you're the shorter person against the taller person. If you're in close, it's hard to fight someone unless it's clinch. But yeah. So the next one, speaking of clinch, struggling a lot in clinch, don't feel like I'm making progress. Any suggestions? Well, just like anything in Muay Thai anyway, the first thing, without knowing you, seeing you, if just any of you are struggling with clinch, go back home, which is your stance. So if you don't know what the stance is just right now off the top of your head, then go to stance. This is your base. You have to get good at things in a certain order. Clinch, stance, feet parallel, make sure your posture is strong, posture is tall. And then if people throw you around and you're just getting ragdolled, you gotta learn to maintain posture and go with the flow. So when they're throwing you, you bounce your feet. So the main thing you want to focus on is maintaining your height. Think of it, your spine, like when you're straight. Let's say you're squatting, and you put heavy weights. You got to keep it straight back. If you just tilt a little bit, you'll come crumbling down. So that's your frame. That's your structure. If you bend a little bit, you're gone. Your power just drops massively. Really focus on the posture, the stance, which is pull the neck back, crunch your stomach, just like if you're taking a photo of your abs in the mirror, the way you flex your stomach, you do that. Be rigid. Think machine, think robot, think block, think brick. And then once you get the stance right, then the next thing is learning how to knee. Kind of like sparring, it's good to do knee for knee to start with, like as a drill. So look for the openings. Your eyes in clinch the view that you should be seeing in clinch is of their 2 feet or of the feet. So your chin is down, but you're looking down, so you can see the knees coming. Then you learn to knee, and then you learn positions, how to hold the joints. So go in that order. I mean, I can't explain it all, like how to do every detail, but if you know what to look for, which is first learn everything you can about stance, then work on a single knee, then what is it? Then what was the next thing? Oh yeah, then the hand positioning, and you'll make progress. Don't worry about sweeps. Learn to avoid sweeps and not get swept. That's way more important than learning to sweep. If you're learning to sweep, if you're learning to sweep, that could be time better spent learning, what you need to learn, which is the foundational stuff. Next one, I feel like I gas out easily. What do I do to improve my cardio? So I get a lot of, there's a lot of questions. The main questions, like tons, is cardio, flexibility, what was the other one? Fear and sparring. I'll just group them all together. This one's very simple. So when you're getting gassed, that activity that's fatiguing you, that's the best activity to do. Like, you're improving right there and then. It's meant to feel like that. It's okay. So I wouldn't actually focus. Don't even bother. Just train, and it'll come. So obviously in increments you raise your intensity. So go to your 90, 100, 90, 95, 98% redlining safely, so you don't, without injuring yourself. But the more you visit that zone, the more your body will be conditioned, and you'll improve. You'll get there. The other side of it, not the technical, is if you're not sleeping right, if you're not eating right, if you have too much stress in your life, that's all going to affect your recovery and how fast your body improves and gets conditioned. So on the other side, the more you can reduce stress in your life, training is a stress, so good and bad stress, reducing stress. Eating bad food is a stress. Sleeping late at night, waking up too early is a stress. Doing a job you hate is a stress. So pick a few areas that you're in control of, should be most, and then do a few notches of reducing stress. Actively think about it, get creative, reduce stress in your life. That'll help also with your conditioning and cardio. All right, next one. I'm having issues kicking high. Flexibility is a limiting one. How do I get there? Any suggestions or tips that can make the process easier? So I've done a few videos on stretches, but look, the best advice I can give is go find someone on YouTube. Start studying it for yourself. This, to be honest, shouldn't be this is kind of a straightforward problem solution thing. You can just find out how to get flexible. It's very easy. There's so many good ones on YouTube. Find something that suits your style. There's yoga, dynamic stretching. There's stretching with weights. There's PNF stretching. I think that's how you say it. There's a lot of ways to get to the same place. Find something that resonates, that suits you, that you like, and put in the time to learn. There's no for most things, there's no one word answers. So, go find a channel. Just find a channel and just watch, learn, start adding it to your routine. I do that. I'm always looking for things, and I'll just I'll experiment a lot. I'm experimenting every day with many different things, and if I don't like it, boom, discard. If I want a result, I'll try many different ways, find a way that I like, find a way that just feels good, that I enjoy, which means I'm going to be doing it, and then bam, I run with that, and then I look for more information in that area and go deeper and experiment, and then we'll get the result. So do that. Just research, YouTube. Next one is frustrated that I'm not getting recognized by my coach. I have to check my pride watching coaches show favoritism to younger guys. How to deal with this situation. This is common and how it should be. I'll give you a little perspective from coach's point of view. I don't know exactly your situation, but from a coach's point of view, this is how a lot of us think. So I definitely have my favorites, and I should. And not all attention should be divided equally. To be fair, you think should be divided equally, but it's not. Whoever puts more effort, whoever's more invested, whoever listens to me. So let's say things that all right. If I tell you to do something, like in this drill, we're working on this. I'll look around and you're doing something else. Bam, I'll switch off. I'm not even going to bother. That's not what I'm going to critique. I'll scan around. The people who listen to instruction, the people who are team players that don't just take but give. These are just things that I'll look for. So I'm going to give you my perspective, and this might help just to give you a perspective. So when other students, if a student brings value, then I invest more into them. So, people who have been at the gym for a long time, the ones that make the most effort, the ones that are trying the hardest, the ones that are team players and good people and help others out, the ones who who are more humble, down to earth, the ones who don't take advantage of beginners, the ones that lift people up, not bang them down, the ones who are loyal, the ones who are who are good people who deserve it, and the ones who make progress. So like I said, and the ones that if I tell them, if I give some feedback and they implement it, boom, I give them more. If I give some feedback, I have this rule at my gym. I'm like, if I tell you 5 times, like I'll remind you something 5 times, let's say foot 12 o'clock, foot 12 o'clock next week, foot 12 o'clock next week. 5 times after that, I give up. You'll never hear it again from me. My personal rule, when I was training, if my trainer told me twice the same thing, I'll be pissed off at myself. So I'm like, I don't want to hear that again. I want to move forward. I don't want to hear the same shit again. So my trainer will tell me whatever it is, lift the elbow up in the hook, just making whatever up. And then a few days later, if he told me the same thing and it registered, I'm like, oh man, that's it. Never going to hear that again. Some people, I'll tell them 5 times. I could tell them 20 and they won't change. But after 5, I stop. But I tell people that. After 5, done. So forget it. I'm not going to tell you that one feedback. I'll give you other feedback. And if you waste my time again, I'm not going to give it to you. So to your question, how do you... Oh, and also, I do this to incentivize people to do the right thing. It's kind of like social media conditioning you, like behavior modification, conditioning you to behave a certain way. I want you to, as a coach, I want my students to behave a certain way at the gym. Now, when they behave the way I want them to, I reward them with more attention. I don't know what it's like at your gym at all. Could be a million things, but this is just good to know in general what I'm telling you, and how to deal with it. So this is how, if I was unhappy with that situation, but I still obviously want to be in that gym, I would just work harder. I would just use it as motivation. It doesn't matter. I remember first few years, before I met my Thai trainer, I didn't get any attention, but it just motivated me. You can still learn. You absorb from people around you. You can still learn. And it's your journey. Who cares about them? How old is too old to fight? Well, easy answer. Forget about age for a second. Are you able to do 3 rounds? Are you able to do 3 rounds consistently? Smash pads, bags, spar, clinch, hard, 3 2-minute rounds, 1 minute break. If you can do it, hard, clinch, spar, pads, then you can fight. If you can't do it, doesn't matter how old you are, you can't fight. You just need the conditioning for it. You just need to be fit enough and skilled enough, obviously. But skilled is easy. Just to have a first couple fights, anyone can do it at any. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, the older you get, the less chance. But how old is too old to fight? Well, 40s is young. I think it is. 50s. I don't know. I'm not in my 50s. So anything above my age seems old to me because I haven't gone there yet. But when I get 50, I'll feel young. But anyway, look, if you're under 45 and you're wondering, that's silly. That's easily done. And then above that, it all depends on the physical shape of your body, the physical condition of your body, risk reward if it's worth it. But like physically, you can be pretty advanced and fight no problem. Pretty advanced in age. When do you know you're ready to start sparring? When do you know you're ready to start sparring? Well, I don't think you should go from just hitting bags to just jumping straight into sparring. There should be something in between, which is drills. So this is what I do. I'm not sure about other gyms, but you can progress to it. You do modified sparring. You do, let's say, for example, kick for kick. Kick for kick drills is the ultimate to get you to sparring, and then you add layers. I don't think I've done a video on that, but I have that in my course. You can check that out on my website. I have a whole module on that because that's the best drill ever to learn how to spar. You start at the base, and I can briefly explain, and you just, one person kicks. So you're practicing countering. You're stripping everything off. No defenses. You're practicing countering. You're also practicing just making something so simple, rhythm. So he hits me, I hit him back. I hit him before he lands his shot, lands his foot, because when he lands his foot, he can check and block my kick. So there's a window, there's a little opportunity, a little half a second window to catch him. You have to strip things down. Otherwise, if you try to do things with all the variables, it's too noisy. Anyway, and then this drill, so you're practicing your accuracy, landing your stuff, the right targets, and back and forth. And once you get good at that, then you add another variable, which is you can make the person miss. So you use your footwork moving forward and back. Then the next level, you add another variable, which you can check or block, or you can push kick, and then you add another variable, or you add another weapon or another defense. That works so much faster. Like super amazing. And a quick example, a quick story. So I had a Korean girl message me a long time ago, a few years ago, and she's like, I want to train, and but specifically I don't want to spar. All right, so I want to do training and no sparring. I want to do everything Muay Thai but no sparring. So I'm like, all right, cool. That's kind of strange. I've never had that before. So she comes in. She looks fit. She looks capable. I see her train, and I'm like, she was a professional ballerina, and I was like, oh no, she had a bad experience. That's the first thing that popped in my head, which turns out to be true. So I'm like, she's got a bad experience. She got like a little bit of trauma from a bad sparring experience. She just wants to avoid it, but she's totally capable. There's absolutely no reason why she shouldn't be sparring. So we started with drills. Let's say kick for kick drill. We add things. We do this. We add that. Boom, boom, boom. Before you know it, she's like, you sneaky bastard, I'm sparring now. She didn't even know she was sparring. I built it up, just adding one thing. Before you know it, she's sparring. She didn't even realize. And then she was like scheduled to fight. 3 months of training from zero to scratch before COVID hit. So yeah, she didn't even consider it. 3 months later, she's booked in for a fight. That's if you build it up in increments. You have to. Everything in life. You don't just, what was the question? When do you know when you're ready to start sparring? When do you know when you're ready to have a conversation in Spanish? You can't. It's incremental. Yeah. But if you're in a gym and they just throw you in, I don't know. All right, this one. I like this one. So should pad holding be used to simulate a fight or be more drill based? If you have, ideally, simulate, hold on, let me think about this. Ideally to simulate a fight, but not all the time. And also the biggest thing that, the most important thing is, depends on the trainer's skills. If you're experienced, you know how to fight, you're able to, man, that's what pad work is for. It's for simulating a fight. If you're not as experienced, you don't want to mess up your students or your partner's technique. You make it drill based. You make it predictable. You want to protect your technique. You don't want to. If you do bad pad holding, you're going backwards in technique. Don't ever do that. So whatever you can do at an exceptional level, that's what you do. Meaning, if you can just hold proper 1-2s and one kick on the pad, and anything beyond that gets sloppy, don't go beyond that. Just do whatever you can do on pads as perfect as possible. So drill based for most people. Drill based. If you're experienced, then definitely simulate a fight. Nothing better. Besides simulating a fight and drill based, it should be used to practice and feel technique. So for example, as a trainer, when I feel the person's punch, I could tell if it's it's one thing that it looks good, but it's a second thing is, does it land right? And also, is it telegraphed? So from my point of view, so let's say I throw a right punch, boom, I could see that coming. Why can I see that coming? Then I'll start investigating, I see what you're doing. You're slightly pulling your hand back before you throw, or you got too much tension. Don't think about so then I would tell my student, don't think about the hand, initiate with the feet or the hip. Boom, then we'll do it again. No, there's a delay. It doesn't look right. And the thing is, when I thought it was going to come, there was a delay. So it didn't hit right. Okay, why is that? And then I'll investigate further. There's a hesitation, like when they pivot, whatever. There's a million things, right? So that fixing technique, that's actually gold. If you can find someone that can do that, that's at that level, that's gold. That just reminds me of my old trainer. All the little details, and he can see it from his point of view. And then, yeah, when I do it with my clients, there's it's hard to replace that. But not everyone can have one-on-one, good quality trainer that's giving all that attention. So as a partner, or I have a good one. If you're a partner, if you train with a partner, this is good to learn together. Do exactly that. Throw the kick. So you hold the pads good for a kick. When you feel the kick come, you can give them a rating. That was like 0 to 5, 5 being amazing, 1 being crap. You could say 3.5, and they're like, Then they may experiment. Your partner can experiment. He'll try something else. Maybe he'll step more to the side. Maybe he'll spring with his hip. Whatever. Boom. 4. Okay. Then he gets the feedback. Your partner gets the feedback. If I do this, my kick gets better. He'll try something else. Boom. 2. Yeah. Okay. He'll get feedback. This was a little secret I learned, and it improved my training, and it's good for everyone else. So you could do that. So it doesn't have to be specific drills, but just like honing in and fixing the technique, and then it'll, you'll just you'll get better. You'll learn more. If you do that, you'll learn more as the partner. So you look and you can experiment too. Try this, try that, boom, boom, and then get used to feeling how it should feel. You'll know when it's a good kick or a good punch. It's crisp, it's hard, you'll know. So you can use the pads for that. Feedback, like feeling how that weapon felt, and then giving that feedback and getting better together. So 3 ways to use pad holding. Simulate a fight only if you're very experienced. Otherwise you could make things worse. Drill based for most people is going to be drills, and then to hone in and tweak technique. Next one. Advice for beginners who just got into Muay Thai. Well, the biggest one is pick the right gym. It's like advice for someone who's wants to get married. I would say, well, find the right person. That's the main thing. Advice for marriage. No, instead of talking about the actual marriage, first is find the right person. That's huge. So if you got the wrong person, doesn't matter what you do in the marriage, it's probably not going to work. So that's the first thing that pops in my head. Make sure you find the right gym. And then what's the right gym? Go with culture, and if they have your best interest, go with chemistry. Don't go with accolades. You know what it's like? It's like if you get going after a spouse or a boyfriend, girlfriend that has money, which is accolades, but not you don't have chemistry or doesn't connect with you. You know, it's kind of doomed to fail. So even if you go with the accolades and world champion this and champion that and the whole stable of fighters, and doesn't mean it's going to transfer to you. It could, but that's not don't look for that. This is my advice. Go for someone who gives a shit. So, and someone you get along with. Someone who's going to look after you. You're going to learn more from them anyway. That's one advice. What else? Patience. Take your time. Don't get swept up in the social media. I don't know, showing offness. You know, all the, I don't know, what do you call it? Social media flair, pizzazz, bullshit. It probably can be overwhelming, I could imagine. Just watching all the Muay Thai and drive you nuts. So, advice, simplify stuff. Be consistent, find a good crowd, make sure you enjoy all your training. Make sure it's a fun journey. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. When you feel fear, know that every single person feels the same. It's okay. Know it's going to be hard sometimes, but you can scale it. You can make it harder, you can make it easier for yourself. Enjoy it. As long as you are consistent, you're going to get better. If you stick around, you're going to get better. If you go too hard too soon and you get traumatized, have a bad experience and quit, then you've lost 100% of the benefits of Muay Thai. So don't quit. To not quit, you got to enjoy. To enjoy, you got to, for a while, do a little bit less than, be manageable with what you do. All right, next. Is it normal to feel burnt out, and how can I fix this? Is it normal to feel burnt out? It's not normal, but it's common. It's common, but it's not normal. Don't think it's good. It's bad. You don't want to feel burnt out. Are you burnt out mentally? Are you burnt out physically? How can I fix this? Yeah. Well, if you're burnt out mentally, either you're putting too much pressure on yourself, you're too stressed, you got too much fear when you go there, you're doing too much too soon, you're sparring people who are beating you up. I don't know, there could be 1,000,001 things that are mentally burning you out. Whatever they are, find them, reduce them. And then physically, if you're burnt out physically, rest days. Actually, this will tie into another question: balancing recovery while still training. You can and should train every day, but you do intense days, you do lighter days. Lighter days, work on your skill. Like I would spend hours in the mirror, literally hours, working on specific skills. It's not, Muay Thai is not just all bang, 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 bang. No way. It's a massive portion of it. More hours should be spent, especially in the first few years, on skill training, which is shadow boxing, breaking things down, very slow training. Very slow, deliberate, focused, specific. You're working on something. You're working on some steps. I got to step like this, and then slip like that. How the hell? Okay, and then you just look in the mirror. If you do fakes, look what your fakes look like in the mirror. So when you're feeling physically exhausted or burnt out, whatever word you use, burnt out, switch to skill training. Sometimes, but if you're mentally burnt out, you don't want to do that. Then you'll go hard and have a conditioning day, and that'll clear your head. So, is it normal to feel burnt out? No. You don't want to feel burnt out. You want to be fucking feeling great every day. Almost. I mean, Fight camps are different. You're not going to feel great every day, but in general, that's a good good measure. Like, feel good. Beginner tips for sparring. What should I focus on and avoid during sparring sessions? Beginner tips for sparring. What should I focus on and avoid during sparring sessions? What should I focus on? So, the stuff I always say, focus on, well, your priority is stance, balance, accuracy. Then, countering. They hit me, I hit them back. Keep it simple. Use your roundhouse kicks. Use your jabs. Don't get fancy. If you're feeling too anxious, if you can, drop it down a notch. This actually ties in with some other ones, because a lot of people talk about not stressing out and composure and inspiring and not freaking out and whatever. But if you can spar with a friend, like someone that you trust and you like, you start there, build up some confidence, then spar strangers. Or if you spar strangers, you can start off with being a little more defensive. It's not as stressful, then building up your confidence. But if you're at a gym and they're just throwing you in and you're getting slammed, it's not good. It's nice. It shouldn't be that way. Even though that's what I did. One was, not at my Thai gym. My earlier years, which was hell. But I still push through, but it's not necessary. It's actually, for most people, it'll traumatize them. What should I focus on? So, focus on the basics. Anytime you feel rushed and antsy, slow it down. Because always check back with yourself and see if you're tense. And then just relax. Relax your body. You won't even realize how much tension you're holding. Breathe. So kind of check in. Don't do too much. You are doing too much, but not too much offensively. You're going to be focus more internally, which is relax your muscles, be in your stance, stay balanced. Force yourself not to flinch. All these things. But you have to do this with someone who's not trying to take your head off. Because if they are, then that doesn't really apply. Because if you spar someone that's trying to take your head off, you're going to clamp up, be defensive, you're not going to relax, you're not going to experiment, you're not going to think, you're not going to get anything out of it. So you just try not to be in that situation. That's what I was saying. I can't help you if that's what your gym does, but a lot of trainers, smart trainers, will build you up incrementally. You need that. You need that space in your mind. You need those increments. All right. I want to get into Muay Thai, but seems such a daunting art and lifestyle. And you haven't even. I want to get into Muay Thai, but seems such a daunting art and lifestyle. Okay, so I take it you haven't even started. You're just watching too much media. I think so. You're probably watching Sanchez and Bocals and all these. I would be stressed too. I do bouldering. If I just watch the guys on Yosemite hanging off the cliffs, they'll give me anxiety, and the lifestyle of having a van parked in front of the national parks and waking up and climbing all day and having tore up fingers, it's gonna seem daunting to me too. But I just go to my local vertical hold and with my kids and do like a few little baby climbs, and I'm happy and I'm enjoying it. So you're magnifying the hell out of it in your mind, because you're probably watching things and the image in your mind is the peak. It's not even that. It can be anything, as chilled as you want, as intense as you want. Just go in, start chill, find a good group. It's not what you're thinking. All right, a few more. Balancing recovery while still training. I answered that. How do I improve distance in sparring and pad work? How do I improve distance? How do you improve anything? Be deliberate about it. So, how do I improve distance in sparring? How do I improve distance in sparring? I don't even know what that means. How do I improve distance? All right, work your range. So, decide when you're sparring. Do I want to be close this round, or do I want to be... What range do I want to be in this round? There's 4 ranges, the way I describe it. Clinch range, super close. Punching/knee range, which is like, a bit further out. Kick range and out of range. Now, before you, in between rounds or before you spar, then you're like, all right, I'm going to spar this dude here. I got better hands. I want to be in punch range the whole time. Then have that as your main focus for the whole round. So he moves back, you mirror him. You start in punch range and you mirror him. That's one way of practicing. Actually, sorry, you know what's even better? Because you asked sparring and pads. The easiest is doing it in pads, because most likely they're not hitting you back. Just establish a range, maintain it. Be aware of it for the whole round. Maybe most people, they're not aware. They're just like, they are where they are randomly. No, be aware. Establish a range and work with that. Do it on bags. Start with bags. Bags is the easiest. That doesn't hit you back. My nervous system freezes up during sparring. What do I do about it? Yeah, I answered that earlier. Do things in increments. Don't freak out. Also, sometimes when you freak out, sometimes you just got to push through the fear. As in, like, it's like bungee jumping. I've never done it, never will. But the more you think about it, the more it'll freak you out. Switch off the thinking and just jump. Switch off your brain and just punch him in the mouth. You might be surprised with yourself. How do I avoid injury in training and sparring? Don't rush. Stay balanced. Prioritize your accuracy. Don't throw anything if it's more guesswork. Try to be more deliberate with what you throw. When you're exhausted, focus even more on technique, because that's when it's the most dangerous to get an injury, because that's when you make the most mistakes. My kick seemed so weak, especially my switch kick. How can I improve this? All right, so switch kick, yeah, I get it's kind of crazy how many people have issues with the switch kick. Like when I do these questions, I don't know, it feels like 10% are like switch kicks. All right, the first thing I would do is it the switch or is it the kick? So you want to identify what's causing you the problem. So if you're a south, you would do this. If you're a south build, everything I say do in reverse. So you would go into southpaw, throw your left kick. Oh, sorry. First, do your switch kick. Boom. All right. Take note how it feels, the amount of power. Then go into southpaw. Throw the kick. Is the kick better, like without the switch, or is it the same? If the kick is better without the switch, when you're just already in southpaw, then the problem is your switch. The switch is messing up your kick. All right. If the kick is the same, the kick's like flimsy, just like when you did a switch kick, the kick in southpaw is just as flimsy, then it's your kick. Bam. Now you got something to work with. You know, should I improve my switch? Should I improve my kick? Then if it's a switch, figure out how to improve that. I've got plenty. Just watch my videos. I already did the actual switch. And then if it's a kick, exactly the same. I've got plenty of content on how to kick. You pick, so let's say it's the kick. Then you pick, you choose one cue and you work that cue. Let's say the very first one should be pushing off the ball of your back foot. Are you doing that? Oh, sorry, even before that is lining. You know what? Probably 9 out of 10 times. Seriously, I reckon whoever asked this, I bet you 99% it's the first cue, lining up the bag right. If your knees are not passing the bag, if you don't understand what I'm saying, go to just type in pro tips for the heavy bag on A Tribe on YouTube. Watch that video. If you're not lining up the bag right, no matter how good your technique is, your kick's not going to be good. So the very first thing, line up the bag, meaning your knees have to pass the bag. And then push off the ball of your back foot is the next cue. Step side, knee comes up, flip it over. You have to be loose. If you're tense, it's just going to be a thud. You need it to slap, so it makes that slappy sound. So all these cues, they're all out there. Do a bit of research, work each one deliberately, and test it. And just work your way up to the more advanced cues. And then you'll fix it. So for me, I'll get someone that comes in and they're like, yeah, my switch kick has been crap forever. I've been working on this for months. And then 5 minutes, I get them, 4 times the power. Just boom! And they're just freaking out. So It's not magic. It's just like being deliberate, just having patience, doing the right things at the right time, working the right cues. Do it like this, do it like that. You got to have discipline for the basics, and then and then it looks like magic. All right, beautiful. Did all that. That was nice. That was fun. So hopefully this helps you guys. And if you're watching this on YouTube, maybe drop me a comment. That'll be cool to hear from you. And yeah, I'm sure some of that's going to help a lot of you guys. All right, I'll see you next time for the next Q&A. I'll post on Instagram. And then just a little side note, the more interesting or challenging your question, the better. So ask insightful questions to get insightful answers. Think about, not just think about the better question you ask, the better answer you get, and that's in general for life. So the better question you ask me, the better question you're going to get for yourself. So focus on asking a better question. Think about it. Because when I get like real simple questions, I'm like, man, this guy's got no hope. If this is how your mind's working, so basic, like you haven't even really given it much thought. Like obviously you're not going to be progressing. Obviously the better question you ask, the faster you're going to progress. Not just by asking me, but just in general. Like if you're thinking that way, you ask yourself those questions. Ask yourself, how's that work? You're going to figure out a lot of things on your own. You don't even, yeah. So anyway, that's another little bonus for you. All right, I'll see you.